I know a good number of you guys are interested in knowing how you can stay back in Canada once you are done with your program. Anyways, good news for you all that you can actually stay at the end of your program and obtain a postgraduate work permit if you're Hey guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on this channel, thank you so much for joining. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks so much for joining as well. You know the vibe. Please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and don't hesitate to share with your friends. On this channel, I'll be sharing with you guys life in Canada, how to migrate to Canada, and other fun stuff. So in today's video, we'll be covering working as a student in Canada and how to obtain your postgraduate work permit. So if you have been following the previous videos, you would see that we have covered how to find schools and choose a program in Canada, how to apply for a study permit, and also how to write your statement of purpose as well, which is a necessary document you would need to include when you're applying for study permit. So in today's video, we'll be covering working as a student while you're in Canada and how to apply for your postgraduate work permit. I know a good number of you guys are interested in knowing how you can stay back in Canada once you're done with your program. Anyways, good news for you all. I'm more than happy to announce to you that you can actually stay at the end of your program and obtain a postgraduate work permit if you're eligible. So before we move on to the postgraduate work permit, I would start off with working as a student while you're in Canada. After you have been able to submit your application for study permit, if your application is approved, then congratulations, you are allowed to now travel to Canada and complete your program. So while you're in Canada, you're allowed to work as a student, and students are actually allowed to work up until 20 hours a week during normal school terms, and they're allowed to work full hours during scheduled breaks or during summer breaks as well. So if for instance you are on long break, or you are on semester break, or what kind of holiday you have, you're allowed to work full hours during those periods. But when you are in normal school session or normal school term, you are not allowed to work longer than 20 hours a week. I know some people actually work longer than 20 hours a week. If you work longer than 20 hours a week, this means that you are violating the conditions of your study permit and you stand a chance to be penalized. So I know some people also do like cash jobs or something. The truth is, if you do cash job, you can actually get away with it. But if you do jobs that would pay you, like if you do jobs that they would have to pay your taxes and your T4, this information of how many hours you worked would be stated on your T4, and when you are filing your taxes for the next year, you would definitely be found. Like nobody would chase you to see, oh, are you working 20 hours or are you working longer than 20 hours, but you'll be found by the coming year. This is because the system is built in such a way that all this kind of information, your work and your salary payment, is documented on your social insurance number. So when you work longer than 20 hours a week, by the next coming tax season, you'll be found. You want to be careful while you are working as a student and ensure that you only work within 20 hours a week during your normal school term. Also, you need to note that the work permit that is attached to your study permit only allows you to work once your program resumes. So say for instance your program starts by September, but you applied for your study permit and your application was approved by July, then you come into Canada, let's say by the end of July, you are not allowed to work in August or anytime from July up on. You are only allowed to work from September, which is when your program actually resumes. During that period while you're in Canada, you can start applying for jobs, you can look out for interviews and everything, but let them know that you are not available to resume until September. That's another condition. Also, you are allowed to work on or off campus, and this would be stated in your work permit as well. So when you arrive at the airport, you'll be advised to provide an address, and this address is where your work permit and your study permit will be mailed to. Also, as a student, if work is a requirement for you to complete your studies, you can also apply for a co-op work permit. The co-op work permit would allow you to work as a student for full hours. So when you are applying for your study permit, if you had indicated that work is a requirement for you to complete your studies, there's usually that question there. If you had selected yes, then you'll be required to complete an application for the co-op work permit. But if you didn't indicate that, not to worry, you can still apply for the co-op work permit much later while you're in the program. For those who don't know, co-op in Canada is also referred to as internship or IT placements, as some countries will call it. Your co-op is just a period that you're allowed to obtain on the job experience while you are schooling. So you have a job and you're schooling, or maybe you have a term off and you're actually just working. So whichever way, depending on your school, you have a semester like that, or a month, or whichever way it is designed in your school. So if you had applied for the co-op work permit alongside your study permit application, then cool, you will get a co-op work permit. If otherwise, you would have to apply for it much later. This work permit would allow you to work full hours while you are a student. So let's move on to the juicy part of this video, which is applying for the postgraduate work permit. So what is postgraduate work permit? Postgraduate work permit is a work permit that is issued to foreign students that has completed a program in Canada to allow them to gain Canadian work experience. So what this means is that if you are a foreign student and you completed a program in Canada, this work permit allows you to gain Canadian experience, or allows you to work in Canada at the end of your program. So remember, like we mentioned earlier, you are not allowed to work longer than 20 hours. So this work permit would allow you to work in any location for any company and whenever you like. So what are the eligibility criteria for you to obtain a postgraduate work permit? There are 3 major conditions that you have to fulfill. The first thing is that you must have completed a program from a designated learning institution. If you remember from the first video where we talked about finding an institution or finding a school and finding a program, I recommended that you should only go for schools that are publicly funded, which means they are designated learning institution. This is because those are the only kind of school that qualifies for the postgraduate work permit. So the first thing is that you must have completed your program from a designated learning institution. Then the second thing is that your program must be at least 8 months long. So if your program is less than 8 months, then you would not qualify for the postgraduate work permit. And lastly, you must apply for the PGWP within 180 days after you've completed your program. So whenever your transcript is ready, or you have a certificate from your school, or maybe you can provide your final results stating that you've completed your program, then you're advised to apply for the postgraduate work permit only if you're interested anyway. You must be interested in the postgraduate work permit. You must apply within 180 days after you complete your studies. You must have completed your program from a designated learning institution. And lastly, the duration of your program must be at least 8 months long. Those are the 4 major eligibility criteria that you have to fulfill for you to be eligible for the PGWP. Now, how long is the postgraduate work permit that you'll be issued? This depends on the length of your program. So if you had completed a program that is less than 8 months, remember we said you are not eligible for the postgraduate work permit. And if you had completed a program that is within 8 months to 2 years, then you'll be eligible for postgraduate work permit up until the length of the duration of the program. So if you had completed a program for 1 year, then you'll be eligible for postgraduate work permit for 1 year. If you completed a program for 1.5 years, then you'll be eligible for postgraduate work permit for 1.5 years. So now, for people that your program is longer than 2 years, if your program is between 2 years or more, then you'll be eligible for up to 3 years of postgraduate work permit, which is awesome. Another very important thing you need to know is that you are allowed to combine multiple programs. So if you have completed a program that is 1 year long and you had completed another program that is 8 months long, you can combine both programs to get up to 2 years of postgraduate work permit. So when you have gained sufficient work experience, you can apply for permanent residency. Remember we said that for you to be eligible for permanent residency under Express Entry program, you must have completed at least 1 year of work experience. So when you have your postgraduate work experience, if you would like to apply for permanent residency, once you complete 1 year of work experience, then you can apply for permanent residency. You would be falling under the Canadian experience class when you apply for permanent residency under Express Entry stream in this program. If you have Canadian work experience, you would most definitely fall under Canadian experience class when you apply for permanent residency under Express Entry stream. So remember, when we talked about Express Entry, we mentioned that they have different streams under the program. If you have obtained work experience with your PGWP and you are interested in applying for permanent residency, you can apply for permanent residency. And as well, if you had gained work experience from your country before coming into Canada, you can also apply for permanent residency when you complete your program. So that way, if you are using a foreign work experience, then you'll be falling under Federal Skilled Worker program. So you can also apply for permanent residency under that program. Another very important thing I need to mention here is that when you are issued the postgraduate work permit, you'll be issued the PGWP to the length of your passport. Say for instance, your passport is only having say for instance your passport is only valid till December 2021 and you are eligible for 3 years postgraduate work permit. So the postgraduate work permit you'll be issued would be valid till December 2021. Meanwhile, you are eligible for 3 years, so you've only gained 1.5 years. At the end of that postgraduate work permit, you can actually apply for an extension. There are some other factors they look out for when you apply for the extension, but you are definitely eligible to apply for an extension if you were not issued the full duration of the work permit you are eligible for. I hope this answers your questions and your curiosity about working in Canada as a student and how you can stay back in Canada at the end of your program. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to leave your questions down below in the comment section. I'm more than happy to take your questions. If you have any video suggestions for me, make sure you leave them down below as well. I'm more than happy to take them. If you are yet to subscribe, please do so right away. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new. Don't forget to share with your friends as well. I'll see you all in my next video. In the meantime, stay confident. Bye.